Hello, hello. This is Adelaide Brown, your heart coach, and I want to welcome you to the Heartline podcast, Heart Talk with Adelaide Brown and friends today. I'm so excited about today's pod. It's actually a live pod. I know we normally drop our sessions every Monday at 12, and we do have a fire session dropping this Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But today we wanted to go live with a beautiful, amazing woman, entrepreneur, author, mother, just all around wonderful person, my friend and work mother. Without further ado, Miss Lori L.J.
Woo,
Johnson.
thank you, Adelaide, Addie BB. Oh, yes, it's always a pleasure to be here with you.
Yes,
Thank
I'm
you.
so thankful for us to get on. You have had many heart talk sessions, live and private. And
Yes.
I just wanted to get you on today. One of the focuses that we have for the Heartline podcast is to build heart equity. And
Mhm.
heart equity is when we grow personal, relational, and financial wealth through authentic living.
Okay.
You know that I'm really passionate about doing heart work. I am the heart coach, and I really focus on all things heart. As time goes on, I realize that that's just a gift that I have. But you are one of those people who personally know that that is a gift that I have, and you as well. You have a very beautiful gift of loving intently and really paying attention to what people are saying and not saying.
Mhm.
You're very compassionate and empathetic. And I feel like oftentimes people like us, people like you and I, sometimes that could come across as weakness. But I also feel that in the last couple years, as we've been doing hard work, we personally have been able to find how much of a strength that really is. And so today, I wanted to talk with you because I just want to like really dive in and just find out one, like how you doing, and two, like how are you building heart equity in your life?
Oh, Addie, that's such a great question. And again, it's so good to be back with you on doing our just discussions. And, we had such a wonderful time bonding when we did radio together. But we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But I love the question. I've found myself lately in a quiet place. Yeah. After the pandemic, that really turned our lives kind of topsy turvy. And it got me to thinking about a lot of different things. And because, of course, we definitely had the chance to stop and just be still. And I always enjoy stillness. I've always been that type of person to be still in the solitude. I love it. For those who know me personally, I know I love the beach
Yes.
and things like that, really, that allow you an opportunity to just be still and reflect. And so where I am in sending in developing that heart space, it's such a good question. My grandmother, well, my mother did too. My mother wrote in my yearbook, my high school yearbook, know thyself.
Mm.
And I don't even know if my mother knew the power and the importance of that statement, to know thyself. Don't you know that that statement is written in ancient antiquity in the pyramids in what's known as Egypt, better known as Kemet? That's the most original term for for Egypt is Kemet. And over the halls in our ancestors' chambers, know know yourself. That is an admonition that came through, because the power of knowledge of self is just, it goes back so very far. And in those moments of knowing yourself, I think that's why I call myself, it's Moments with LJ, because in those quiet spaces, when you can really reflect on the things that have gone on in your life, the things that you would like to go on in your life, you kind of think back during the times that you made decisions and what you might have been able to do different. It's not so much judgment or
Mhm.
being hard on yourself, but the quietness allows you the chance to reflect. So in that stillness, in those quiet moments lately, especially in the last couple of years, I've been in a place where the knowledge of who we are culturally, and when I say we, I'm talking about African ascended, I like to say African ascended people and not descended people. I believe we are on an ascension, a rise in enlightenment, a rise in understanding the value of who we are culturally, understanding the value of what we had to offer as a people. You know, it was just so uh it was such an effort to to devalue the things that we had to offer as people, the
Yeah.
accomplishments, the things that we had to, we had to uh as it related to the value of history, inventions. Excuse me. We did have so much that we had to offer
Yeah.
civilization. And so I'm just really in that space where I am understanding the power of that knowledge of self, digging back into who we are as people, and really, really seeing the treasures and the jewels of that. So that's where my heart is. That's where my heart space is. You know, thanks for that question.
No, that's good. And I'm glad that you said that, because why do you think that is at the forefront of what you're processing and thinking about in this season of your life? Know thyself. You talked about the fact that your mother told you that high school graduation. Now, you are a beautiful young woman, but you're a little more seasoned than high school graduate.
Thank you.
So, in that bridge, in that gap of time, why has that still been something when you still yourself? Why is that still something that, when being in this season of stillness now, you find that you're really contemplating and really reflecting on what it means to know thyself?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, in the years that have followed since high school, and thank you for saying it like that, seasoned. I like that.
Oh yeah, girl, you season well in a beautiful way. Mm.
And I appreciate that because I'll be 62 years old in February, January, 2024, January 62. And I am not ashamed of saying that at all, because in those seasoning years, in the time that has come, oh, have I learned so much about myself and since high school, as you said.
Yeah.
So the knowledge of self, it comes so very important because, it's also in the experiences that I've gone through, especially since high school, since getting married so young. I think I got married at 19 the very first time.
Mm.
And wow, there was a knowledge of myself that I did not know. And I think if I look back, I don't regret it. I don't regret it. But I think at that time, if I had known more of who I am and what it is that I wanted to do in terms of me going on a journey of myself, especially as it related to spirituality and those types of things, spirituality and embracing of worship and embracing of religion and things, those played such a huge role in my life. And I
Yes.
think if I had a little bit more of a firmer foundation, which would have involved my taking a lot more time out to
Mhm.
explore my relationship with the Most High God, the grand creator, the source of all things, I think that that would have definitely helped me in a lot of my evaluation of where I was and whether or not I was ready for being a wife, whether or not I was ready for that. You know, I have three beautiful children. They are 40, 38, and 36. And we had the opportunity to grow together
Yes.
during those times, and I didn't have them when I was very young at 19. But in the times that I did start having my children, I realized that they also played a huge role in my development in terms of spirituality, because one of my children, she would question the rigidness of the religion we were following. She would question it. She'd ask some questions, you know, And when you
They're
in a
like, why
knowledge
are
of
we
self,
doing this? This don't make no sense. Because see, the Bible say out of the mouth of babes,
oh,
child, you know
most
how
definitely.
you go. The kids will be the one like, this is dumb. Why are we doing this? I don't think this will God. Kids are something else now.
They are very
They
much
are
so. And I tell you what, that one Ebony of mine, she was so very much outspoken.
with her
And
beautiful self. You got some beautiful kids now. We're gonna throw that out there. They real
thank
grown, but you see how pretty their mama is. All of them pretty. The
thank
boy too.
you.
The man too. He ain't no boy. The man. The man
The man
too.
child. My Augie, my Errol, yeah, Errol, Essence, and Ebony. That's the three of them. And so we had a good time growing up. I tell you, because you're right. They will bring it out of you, honey. They will bring some questioning and out of you, and just the existence, just getting through the day and the time and the, what we went through. Um as a family, we always talked about, we sometimes talk about it now, how close we were. It was just me and them, and during that time it was just so much growth involved, so much learning, and I just really had to buckle in and understand who, even more so, I I was and I am, and I'll do it all over again. But those were some of the greatest times, some of the greatest years of my life, in helping me, because it brought about some challenging situations that helped me to really understand and discover and explore who I am. So those were some formative years. And I guess the marriages, they were they were formative too. They
Absolutely.
they played a role.
I think sometimes we like to discredit seasons of our lives that were difficult, but we don't realize that the individual judging that would not be that individual had you not come through that.
So
Does that
true.
make sense? It's
That's
like
true.
we learn in science, and like, what is it, elementary or middle school, they teach you about a chemical change,
Hmm.
or what's the other one, honey? It's a chemical change or a physical change. It's another term for it, and I should have known that bringing this example. But in other words, what we were taught was you have a physical change, which is something that could be separated. So, like if you were to mix two different types of sand together, as daunting
Okay.
as that is, you
Hmm.
could go by and go through and separate each grain and separate it. But when you burn something, there's no going back to that former state. It
Mm.
has taken a chemical change.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
believe that the experiences that we go through in our lives, they create chemical changes in our lives. Like, you're
Yes.
never going to go back to the person you were before any of those experiences, no matter how hard you try. And
That's
that's
right.
why when I work with individuals and talk to them, I'm always like, you hear people say, I just need to get back to where I was. I need to
Mm.
get back to when I was doing better with myself. I was taking better care of myself. And I'm thinking, but that person led you to the situation that you're having trouble dealing with. If you go back to being that person, you're going to keep repeating that situation in some way, shape, or form. You
So
know?
true.
So
Hmm.
I believe that your marriage experiences, parenting, you have 4 years between the oldest and the youngest. It's like you're a different person having this third child than
Yeah.
you were at having the first child. You know what I mean? And I think oftentimes, and I'm guilty of that as well, but oftentimes we are like, it's almost like, yeah, I shouldn't have went through that. Trust me, I got some situations like that as well, but now I'm like, no, I didn't have to go through that, but because
Mhm.
of where I was, it caused me to make those decisions to find myself in that situation.
Mm.
So hearing what you're saying, I need to know thyself. I need to get to know myself so that I don't make that decision again.
Wow. That's good. And as you're talking, it's interesting you say that because, isn't that a lot of times how we think that we want everything to line up, the stars to align before it's time to do whatever. We want everything to be a perfect, look like it's perfect, but the truth is there'll never be the perfect time. I don't think, you know, and the perfect time to start a business, the perfect time to get married, the perfect time to do whatever, you know, come what may. It's how you adjust, you
Correct.
know, during those times when, you know, say for example, you know, sometimes people, when we get pregnant, right, it may not have been a planned pregnancy, but you adjust.
Yeah.
It may not have been planned, but you pivot
I
and
love
you
my
figure it out.
babies, but let me tell you something. I used to jokingly say I got pregnant with my children all out of wedlock. And this is something that if you didn't raise up like us, you don't even understand wedlock. But all I'm gonna say is those that do, you understand.
You understand?
And I used to jokingly say, like, and this is ignorant, but I used to say, shoot, if I get pregnant, it's gonna be an accident because I ain't planning to have no more kids. That was after the first one, right? We
Okay,
got we
right.
got 4 kids. You see what I'm saying? So, however, just you saying that, I love them, but you're right. You gotta roll with it. Like
You
there
roll
is
with
no,
it.
and there's no. Oh, I mean, there is a let me stop this pregnancy. There's not a pause. Like, okay, you pregnant. You're gonna be pregnant till you have this baby, and
Yes.
then you got to take care of this baby. There is
Hmm.
no. Well, let me pause and let me get myself right, and then I'll go back to being pregnant, like we do with our businesses and writing our books and all those other things, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, no. Yeah, you bring it to term, and then you know, hey, you know, that's exactly right. You that's I like the way you put that.
Yeah,
Can't
I
put the
apologize
pregnancy
for.
on
Yeah,
pause. Okay.
I apologize for jumping in like that. Please,
No, no.
we flowing. You know how we go, but
You know how we go. That's
every
exactly
time
right.
I talk to you, I'm like, oh, oh, I'm jumping up in the chair because you always trigger that in me. But
Oh
I think
gosh.
that I, I just think it's important. You're right. We often don't plan for the
Mhm.
things that impact our lives the most.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, I just think it sharpens us. It even does, even when those things, it sharpens us, and you know, we just go through what we do in life, and it's just one of those transformational times. And so, you know, we manage to get through. That's the resiliency of us as a people. We just the
Correct.
resilient, you know, and
Correct.
have to make it work and make do. And so, yeah, yeah.
So what are some things you're having to be honest about in this silent time? What as you talk about the transition and us being
Mhm.
sharpened, I want you to think about it because I'm gonna jump in with something. This is a question for you, but I'm gonna
Okay.
answer it while you're thinking about it. What are some truths that you've had to tell yourself in this quiet time? And I want
Yeah.
well, go ahead. If you can answer, go ahead. But
Oh,
I want to
you had a part
share.
two.
Yeah, no, but the reason why I say that is because as I was asking you the question, it
Mhm,
hit me. Like I've been in a season of what I consider stillness
mhm.
and similar to you for a while. And as you know personally, I've been trying to kind of pull myself out of retirement, get out of early vacate, get cut the vacation short early, I guess you could say. But as I started to settle down and really get still. Because see, the thing is, people think when they're not moving, they're still. You're not.
Mm,
Stillness is about your mind and your body
mhm.
chilling out. Like you're not thinking about things constantly. You're not worried about things because you're able to hear the birds chirping.
Yeah.
You notice the little caterpillar in the grass because you're still
Mhm.
enough to see that. That's what stillness is all about. But what I have found that I've had to tell myself the truth, and like even recording before we got on, like I did a podcast with my brother, and he absolutely called me out on being inconsistent. And
Mm.
I needed that. I wanted
Mhm.
it. I welcomed it. I love it. And that's why I love my big brother. And I'm excited for the Heart Tribe and everybody to see it when it comes out on Monday. But it made me realize how much I make excuses to play small.
Wow.
I have in the past. Like
Okay.
this being still. Like I think before I wasn't sure if I am who I say I am. You know, like I said, I can do this, but was it just a fluke? Like, does this really work?
Is
Like
that what they call the imposter syndrome? Is
that's
that
it. That's
okay?
it. No, that's good. So
Mhm.
thank you for saying that. So dealing with imposter syndrome, I didn't realize how deep it was.
Mm.
But to go a step further, I think imposter syndrome is almost like a cover up to the fear of going all out and being yourself. Like
Yeah,
that Marianne Williamson quote, it's like it's not the fear of failure, it's the fear of the level of success that you will really, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's a beautiful quote.
I
And,
love it. Yeah. Mhm.
and so this season of stillness for me has been about, no, I really am that chick. I really am that chick.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
girl.
I got stuff I'm working on, but
Mhm.
I really am that chick.
You
And
good.
owning that, that's a
Yeah.
truth that I didn't like. I'm the heart coach and I work with people on that. And it's how they say the kids will say it's levels to this. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like there's levels to this hard work. But
Mhm.
that's one of the truths that the levels of imposter syndrome, but even bottoming out at that and realizing that that's almost like a cover up and a cop out too. No, it's not imposter syndrome. You scared of success, or you're scared of the opposition that's going to come with the
With
inherent
that
success.
success.
That's what
Yes, yes.
that's what it is. And once I called that thing out, I started moving forward. I got 2 programs launching in the next 2 weeks.
Good for you. Oh, I'm
You
so
know?
excited and I can hardly wait. Yes. Absolutely. And you always share that too about the playing small. And that's a Marianne Williamson poem that I often read. And sometimes I do read that on the air. We are not supposed to play small. And it's truly one of those things where when you accept the value and the greatness of who you are, right? And that's what it sounds like you have really done. I am ready for this massive, great success. Yes, I deserve this great success. Yes, I have much to offer the field of coaching and helping people to figure out their things. And as the theme of today's program is to get unstuck.
Yeah.
How do we get unstuck? Right? You know that you have what it takes because you and I both. I'll add myself to the
Come
mix.
on, you better, because you have.
you know and I really recognize what I've been personally doing to stand in my own way, and that is being afraid of the responsibility that comes with great
Yes.
great
Mm.
uh when people see you. What is it? I remember Bishop Jakes made a statement one time. He said, don't be in no hurry to run up here to this spotlight. He said, because these lights get hot.
These lights hot. These lights is hot, sis.
That's right. He said, don't you be in a hurry to run up here because these lights are hot. So all of that scrutiny, because even the more exposure you get, the more you are also open to people's criticisms, because you're gonna get people to say, oh well, who she what
Oh, I know. Oh, who
who
she thinks she is?
where
Well, I
you
just
know
saw her such and such. And
okay. And where did she get her? I mean,
mhm,
she don't have no degrees. That was
she,
my thing.
that was mine too, child. That was it. That
I
was
don't
it.
have the letters after my name. And okay, I didn't go to XYZ college and this, that, and the third. And oh, she got all these failed marriages. What can she tell me?
A lot. You can tell me how to not go through that. You can tell me
Exactly.
how to not go through that. That's why I'm
Mm.
so thankful that you're a part of the Heart Tribe. I'm so thankful that you build heart equity. I thank you that you are one of my heart coaches. We've already talked about that. I mean, that's just people need to know because they'll be seeing us do a lot more things together. So
Yeah.
they need to understand that. But that's powerful. And like I tell you all the time, like that's why it's that's why I appreciate you so much because it's the truth. Like I
Thank you.
feel like you telling me the truth about what you went through in your marriages that came to an end is why I'm still married.
Oh, come on,
Because you
sister.
think about it like that, that's why your truth will set people free. That's
Mm,
why we overcome by the words of our testimony, the blood of the Lamb, which covers us from
mm,
all of that opposition, right?
mm,
Revelations
mm, mm.
12 and 11. That
Uh-huh.
blood is like an impenetrable defense.
Mm, mm.
I need to hear
Wow.
this for myself.
Ooh.
That's why you can share your testimony
Wow.
because you covered. And
Wow.
being covered keeps you protected.
That's so
And
good.
that helps us because for you to share so openly about what you shared about what it forced me to do is if I'm gonna be who I say I am, let me take this knowledge and information and see how I can apply it.
Okay. Okay.
So if she said this happened in this marriage and this came to an end, and she
Hmm.
realized this about herself in this marriage and it came to an end,
Hmm.
I'm noticing some things you realize about yourself that I know I have within me.
Wow, Addie.
So
Yes.
now you calling out things. I'm blaming my husband, but you calling out things that maybe it is all Kevin fault.
Ooh, what's your side of the story, huh? Girl.
That's why I wanted to do this podcast because, like, the first three guests have been men. Because you know my heart for men. You know how I get down and communicate with my
I know.
fellas and my brothers. And I have men that I love and care so
Mm,
much for. But my heart, I understand the order. And
yes.
that's why I feel like men do get a short end. And yeah, right, there are things that everybody can do better. But I'm just saying we need to have these conversations from more than one side. Because like we grew up knowing there's three sides to the story. And
Go
we
ahead.
usually only get one, maybe one and a half.
Right.
It's a
That's
whole
so
one
true.
and a half parts that we never get.
That's it. That's so true. What is it? Your side, his side, and what really is the truth? Yes.
Exactly.
Oh goodness, but it's so good that you say that because out of each experience, yes, I learned so very much. And it was something because one of them was really honestly really it was traumatizing in that I used to say this is what I used to say. I didn't even recognize being in what they would consider domestic violence and in a domestic violence situation because I would always say, shoot, I fought him back. I ain't,
Yes,
I wasn't no victim.
I oh God. Go ahead, finish. I just told Kevin that last night.
You know,
Literally.
really?
I told him about a past relationship. I said, yes, it was domestic violence, but I never said, oh, he just beat me. Because my thing was, you come at me, I'm fighting you back. Or
I'm coming
I
back
might have
at you.
hit him first. Let me be
Yes.
honest. I might have hit him first.
Okay.
So
And that's the
I didn't
truth.
say it was one sided. I said it was domestic violence.
Mm. It was
People,
violence.
people
That's
hear
right.
what they want to hear.
Yes, yes.
But to your
Absolutely.
point, you're right. You fought him back.
I fought back. And
That's
like you
the
said,
toxic
I
stuff.
probably I could have pushed him first. And if you dealing with somebody who ain't all right there, he ain't gonna be trying to be, oh, I better not hit her back or whatever the case may be. But honey, we used to get down, and that's exactly you're absolutely right. When we tell the story and we come from a victim base, what about your side of the story? You know what I'm saying? And men, that's not us saying that, oh, okay, they sound like they giving us license to to fight. Because this is what I say now. If I am in a relationship, I don't even like for a man to raise his voice at me and to be aggressive verbally. Because to me, verbal aggression, if you're trying to intimidate me with a raised voice, now I'm on the outside. I'm on the outside. I'm not married, right? So, we're going to take time to cultivate a relationship. And so, if in that relationship, I see that, because sometimes people can border on sociopathic behavior, just mad for no reason. And, sometimes people just can't you have to really take time to really get to know people these days because people are functioning on all kind of little short fuses nowadays. And when you find that you are with somebody that can't take a rejection, that can't take no for an answer, that doesn't know how to process, I feel like at 62 years old, almost I've done a lot of the work that I wouldn't have hit him first, haul off and slap him, be mad at him or whatever. And then, like I said, I am at a place where I know where I can bring myself in, reel myself in, and not resort to this low vibrational, as we say now, behavior. So it's in that, and it's also understanding, who I am in terms of my patience level. I realize the older I get, my boundaries are more clearly defined. And in the past, they weren't. They were not clearly defined, really. And so now I know that if I am in a situation, it's because I'm somehow I allowed that. I
Yes.
got here because of me not being clear. If I have allowed you to just disregard me, to be late all the time, not call me back, not be considerate of my things that I need to do, and it's like if I just keep letting that go. One of my ex-husbands said that you teach people how to treat you. We
Yeah.
teach people how to treat us.
Yes, we
And
do.
so it's every time I'm allowing somebody to cross those lines and cross those boundaries, then I am the one that's the reason. It's me why
Yeah.
we are here at an impasse where, we may need to make some decisions about the relationship. So I don't know why we get off on that, but
No,
we
we
just here.
no. Let
Mhm.
Lord listen.
Yeah.
We gonna do. I love this. This is we
Okay.
need to be wherever we go.
Yeah.
No, I you said something that's important because I find that and have been finding, especially in this season, people are on a short. Their fuse is very short.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people that get really irritated, really frustrated, really angry and upset very quickly
Yes.
about things that for many people can seem to be very minimal. That doesn't make sense. I don't even know why they got so upset. And my thing with that is, and I try to stay away from all or always. Many people are not telling the truth in one area, and because they're not telling the truth in one area, the dishonesty is following them every place that they go.
Oh, that's good, Addie. Yeah,
So
that's
what
good.
happens is you are not telling the truth in your marriage, but then you wonder why you have a coworker that's going behind your back all the time. And you're having to deal
Mm.
with this drama at work with your manager, your supervisor, and the coworker telling dishonesties about you or about what you're doing or not doing. But deep down inside, you're not telling the truth to your partner about how you feel.
Isn't that how it works? What is it? The reaping what you sow, karma, whatever you want to call it. It's you getting what you give. You get what you give. And honesty is so, I mean, that is so on the top of the list, being honest about yourself. And it goes back to that victimization. I think we get sympathy when we present it like, oh, whatever in the relationship, but what's your side of the story? What did you do to elicit the response that you got? Were you snarky, nasty, disrespectful, rude? Did you say something that didn't need to be said? It was, what is your side of the story? When we come to we get help, we want to get help, but we only want to tell one side of the story.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And so, in telling that one side of the story, like you said, that dishonesty just keeps following you.
Yeah.
It
It
just
keeps,
keeps following you along.
yeah. And you know what I had to learn, and I don't know, you tell me your thoughts about this. I felt like if I told the truth, then I need to be able to do something about it.
Mm,
I didn't I'm really cutting through years of work. But in doing my work, I realized if I tell you the truth, I'm gonna have to have something to back that up. Like I'm so used to telling people the truth and they get upset. I'm so used to telling people the truth and they kind of weaponize what I've
mm,
said to
mm-hmm.
almost use it against me.
Okay.
And I can't say that that's happened so much so in recent years, but the triggers that I have from the past that I've been working on have a lot to do with why I still feel that way.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, with that being said, for example, um, I had a conversation with my mother recently.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm very open, and I'm very open about me and my mother's relationship. I pretty much wrote a whole book about it. And I have always wanted to have a closer relationship with her. But for years, I didn't even have the courage to be vulnerable enough to say that. So
Mm,
instead of saying that I wanted to be close with her, I would complain about all the things we did not do that I felt was contributing to us not being close. So
okay.
instead of saying, I would like to be closer to you, mommy, I would like for us to have a closer relationship. I would say things like, we don't ever go to this place and we don't ever do this and we don't do things like that. I would see friends, classmates, people I went to school with just be out. They go to the I used to always say, like, I want to be the type of person that get up and go to like yard sales with my mama, and we go to the flea
Mhm.
market or go, we country, go to the farmer's market or something, go get some vegetables on Saturday to cook on Sunday and stuff, romanticizing the stuff I grew up doing with my grandmother.
Yeah.
And so I wanted that with me and my mother. And as I started like telling myself the truth about it, instead of complaining about what she wasn't doing, being more honest and authentic and telling the truth about what I did want. Because, see, all too often we focus on what we don't want and what we don't like. I had
So
to
true.
start focusing on what I did want and what I did like.
Hmm.
So, fast forward, I realized I don't want to do yard sales with her. Neither one of us want to get up early in the morning and do stuff like that. What I wanted was a deeper connection where I felt like I could trust her and I could communicate with her, because up until that point, I didn't feel that way.
Hmm.
So now that's something I figured out over the last, let's say, 6, 7 years doing hard work. That's been a journey. And I said that very quickly and condensed that. But for people working through issues with their parents,
Hmm.
I need you to know that that started at your foundation and you're going to work on that your entire life. You're going to work on the impacts of whatever that is
Yeah.
for the rest of your life, because it's in the fabric of who you are.
Yeah.
Now, about back in October, she and I were on the phone talking about her working with me, because she's partnered in my company and we work together. So she helps me out with things that I'm doing. And I was training her, and I could tell, because we know each other so well, I could hear in her tone and mine, because I was already talking short to her. And I'm so accustomed to doing it that I didn't even realize I was doing it until she started talking a little more short with me.
Mm.
So now I'm trying to breathe and do all my steps and stay calm and working through it, because me and her, we're building our relationship. And so she was like, um, I told her something and she was like, I don't like your tone. I said, well, this is my tone when I'm training someone in how to do something. I keep, just like how I'm talking right now, I get very monotone and I repeat it the same way if I find myself repeating it, because that'll typically catch someone's attention. That's just for training. When you go deeper and bring your voice tone down, it forces the person to listen more intently to what you're saying, because I want you to get it. I'm a fast learner. I understand everybody isn't, but I am. So my
Hmm.
patience can get short after a while if I keep telling you the same thing. The flip side to it, like you say, is two sides to every story. Mommy not here. The flip side to it is we have this ongoing issue with me being patient with teaching her how to use technology.
Okay.
Because after I have showed you how to send an email or do attach a picture to a text 10 times, I don't want to have to do it again. That's
Hmm.
just me. Now, okay. I'm not always the most patient person. That's something I'm working on too. I'm just being real. We do hard talk on
We're
here.
doing hard talk. That's it. Yeah.
So we and her on the phone, and now I'm repeating the same thing over and over again, because I know my mother. I know how she presses buttons on the screen and she won't press where you telling her. I've watched her do it. So I know this is what she's doing. Now when I say, mommy, you are probably doing this, you don't need to do this. You need to press this.
Hmm.
She was not pressing this. And so we started to bump heads, and now we're going down the rabbit hole. We always going. And what happens is we say what we have to say and get irritated, and the conversation is ended. And now we can't work through to the goal we're trying to get to. That used to
Hmm.
be Thanksgiving dinner. That used to be trying to get to my grandma's house from Charleston, which is Denmark, South Carolina. We would go through these issues and go through these things, um, that would really, um we wouldn't get to the end. Dinner wouldn't get done. I might go back and get my own car. And in this situation, this
Hmm.
particular action we were trying to get done wasn't getting done. So now
Gotcha.
she's like, you being short with me. And I'm like, no, I'm not. This is how I talk to people when I'm training them. I said, you want me to talk to you like you're in kindergarten. And we're not in kindergarten. We're doing adult things. So I'm talking to you like an adult where you're being short. I don't like your tone when you're talking to me. And I said, you know what? This is why you want us to be closer. And this is why I don't spend that much time with you the way you would like, outside of a lot of things that I have to do. I said, because I never know what word I'm going to say to you that's going to trigger you. And
Mm,
now I have to spend so much energy coddling you and making
mm,
you feel better about what I'm saying. And people that I'm in healthy relationship with where I can be myself, I don't have to do that. If they misunderstand what I'm saying, they don't get an attitude with me. They ask me, what did you mean? And they clarify. I said, I want to be closer to you, but I don't know all the words that are going to trigger you. And I
mm,
don't like
mm,
feeling like I
mm.
have to walk on eggshells every time you and I communicate. Because I'm the heart coach. I'm doing hard work. I talked about things she did that bothered me, but I had to be truthful in that moment. It had nothing to do with me trying to set up her Google Voice phone. It
Yeah.
did,
Hmm.
but it
Hmm.
didn't, right?
Yeah.
But I had to tell the truth because I feel like us having that conversation and her hearing that, we have never been as close as we are now. But it wouldn't have
Mm.
happened if I didn't tell that truth and let the chips fall where they may. And maybe she wasn't going to talk to me for a week or two, like what I experienced in the past for telling my truth. But I had to do it because of where I am in this season in my life.
That's so good. Oh my God. I am so glad you shared that because it reminded me of how you and I first connected. And because I can remember when you would share on your shows the very tenseness of the relationship with you and your mom, and you would really be very, very open and honest about where you and your mom were.
Yes.
And it was a very tense place. And your honesty then, speaking about the difficulties that you and your mom had in relating and communicating to one another, I mean, and how you really felt about her, it made me literally disconnect from the program at that time because it was such a trigger
Yeah. Yeah.
for me. Because I was like, oh my God, I used to say, I didn't really, it was hard to say I didn't really like my mother.
Hmm. I know I didn't. But
When I heard you
what
say
it is.
that, I thought, well, honey, you freed me. I was like, oh my God, somebody else feel the same way. And I thought it sounded, I'll be honest with you, I thought it sounded so bad. How can she say she don't like her mother? But that's why I disconnected because I know that was you. I was the same thing. You know how we can see you always so deep in seeing other people and you this, that, and the other. But that's because that's you see yourself in that person. And then you trying to judge them, right? Well, how could you be like that? Because you that way, because you the same way. That's why you got so much judgment for somebody else. Because you the same way. So that was the same thing that happened to me that day when I listened to you for the first time. And I heard you say that. I hung up and how dare she act like that? How dare she say that about her mama?
Who she thinks she is? Her mama brought her into this
Her
world.
mama
I can
brought
only
that
imagine what her mother has done for her in her life. And
child.
I
So tell
told, yeah, I'm mad.
I was mad and I got clicked off. I clicked off. And when it was real still, that voice was like, that's because you feel the same way. You don't like your mother either.
Mm.
I was like, and I mean, the clarity about that, it was like it brought tears to my eyes because I'm like, now what do I do?
That's it. That's why
Now what
people
do
don't
I
want to tell the
do?
truth because you feel so lost.
Yes.
But what does the truth do? It hurts, but what else it do? What else it do?
It piss you off and set you free. you know, my mentor, Mama Jewel Diamond Taylor. I throw my props out there for her. I stand on her shoulders. Mama Jewel Diamond Taylor said, The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off.
Okay.
And it did. When I heard you say my truth, I was so pissed off, but I was free. And now I was free to come to you and be like, well, Addie, tell me more. You
Mhm.
know, how did you work? How are you working through that? How do you reconcile not liking your mother? Because I used to see other people look like they were so happy with their moms. They're
And
looking
be
forward.
lying. Girl, let me tell you. Go ahead. Go ahead, because I got to get into this child. Girl, that's why I have to get you on here, girl, because I can be myself. You bring all the Addie out, girl. I love it. Go ahead, finish. Cause
So they, so a lot of them women probably was just they were just faking to her. They out there trying to act like they so happy with their mamas and stuff.
you know what I have come to understand? That's why so many elderly people are not being properly cared for. I truly
Mm.
believe in my heart. That's why it's such an issue when everybody know mama or daddy is declining and people are slow to care for them. They have all these reasons where they say they're good. I'm going to check in on them. I really believe it's so much unresolved issues from childhood and young adulthood that have not been addressed. And we put sugar on sugar honey iced tea and
Yes.
we wonder why. And on the flip side, the parent is still carrying
Mm.
a lot of that shame and guilt as well. Nobody talking about it. But
Nobody.
what's happening is the grandchildren, our kids' generation, coming
Mm-hmm.
us and our kids crazy, bat crazy. Lord
Mm-hmm.
forgive me. You
Mm-hmm.
can't control them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They have all these mental health diagnoses,
Mm.
all because, and I don't want to blanketly minimize these diagnoses, but these diagnoses are just the mental health community giving us words to deal with what trauma has done to us on a mental, emotional, and physical level. Trauma is not what happened to you. Trauma is how you process your experiences.
Ooh, that's good, Addie. Say that again. That's
So you tell me your
ooh.
thoughts on that, cause see, ever since we've talked before, cause see, you're not telling your story, but I know you don't mind me telling this, cause you sacrificed and went and cared for your daddy,
Mm-hmm. I
right?
did. Right.
Where many people would not have done that in that situation,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially if we was gonna base it off how you treated me, right? And so I truly believe that's why mommy and I, and she said this, because the way I talk about my mother in my circles and what I do, mommy talk about me just like that in her groups, in her
Mm-hmm.
meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care because I
Right.
ain't there and I ain't got to hear it. And that's her truth.
That's her truth.
That's her truth. That's
Yes.
how she experienced me as a daughter. Whether
Yes.
that is the truth,
Mm-hmm.
we could talk about that. But that's true to her. And
Yes.
I'm not trying to control it. That's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we can't control people' image of us. That's why we don't be wanting to tell the truth. We want to
Mm-hmm.
control the narrative.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it hurt us so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, this is so good. It's so good. And how many people, and as you said, because how we are as adults, your environment when you are first born, that's the soil that you gonna come up in.
When your
What you
mama pregnant,
yeah,
I'll go a
yeah.
step further. The seed, whatever she going through, while
Mm,
that seed is in that ground before the shoots start popping up,
come on now.
all of that is forming you thought you were like that since you were a baby. That's what
Mm.
your mama was going through when she was pregnant. That depression got on you. You haven't
Whew.
always been, you weren't pessimistic when you left eternal to come to time.
Come on now. Ooh, the shame. The shame, because she carried the shame of being pregnant. And she knows we tell the story, I tell the story, and it's a lot of people's stories,
Oh,
unfortunately. I'm
mine.
the love child,
It's
out of, as you say, out of wedlock. Also, not only are you out of wedlock, but you're somebody else's husband's child, so
adultery,
she carried the
love,
shame.
all that good stuff. Yeah.
She
Mhm.
did. And I understand that. And it, like you said, it goes deep even before you even get here. So now you get the feelings, the rejection that she got. as she's carrying me. You know what I'm saying? Well, what you gonna do about it? You pregnant? What you gonna do about it? All of this stuff. It's like on a physical scientific level and all of that stuff. We hear that, we feel that, like you said. And growing up in that environment, it's almost like you are a secret. You
Yeah.
gotta be, you gotta be a secret. Well, why I can't, why my daddy can't come here like
Yeah.
everybody else daddy come here, why I can't be out with why I can't be out and he taking me to the park like everybody else daddy is. Where he at,
Yes.
but he got to come in the dark, under the cover of night, and and leave, and I'm probably sleeping, you know. So here it is, in this environment of all of this shame and all of this guilt and all of this, you just don't feel your needs aren't met. You are not, as a child, there's a lot of unresolved issues, unmet childhood needs that we
Yes.
need to
Yes.
feel confident as
Yes.
children, the things that we need to feel secure. Now, once we get to an adult stage, are we going to stay mad at our parents? Probably to a degree we are, when we try to fake, right, that we are happy, right? But we don't know how to process it as children. And because we didn't know how to process that as children, we're not going to give them the grace. Now that we're older, right? We old now, okay. And some of them situations that they found, my mother found herself in, I probably found myself in too, not with a married man having a child out of wedlock, but getting caught up in a relationship.
But like they say, it goes around, comes around. It don't always look exactly the same, but it's
It
the same thing. It came from the same root. It's just like
exactly.
me, like my two boys got the same mama and got the same daddy.
Yeah.
They don't look exactly alike, but they
Mhm.
come from the same thing. They look alike though. They
Yes.
resemble. And so when we don't deal with it, our kids deal with things that resemble. It never
Mhm.
leaves until that root get cut.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, and it's so like I said, but it's these uncomfortable truths
Yes.
that we are not able to tell ourselves. We'll dance around it and pretend as if, and I don't know what you're talking about, kind of thing. And
Oh, my
but
mama was good to me. Oh, I
oh,
know my mama loved us. Oh, yes, my mama was good to me. This is the thing that get me.
hmm
We have to get past, we will protect people and hurt ourselves. It's both and.
hmm
Yes, my mother loved me and did the best she could. And I felt very alone, very abandoned, and very rejected. Both things are true.
yes, they can be simultaneously true. That's right. That's exactly right.
She did
And
the best she could,
she, mm,
and I'm still angry at her.
isn't that freeing just to hear you say that? That's so, and a lot of people don't even hear that you can be mad and it be okay. You can be mad. In the book, the sacred book said, be wrathful, right? But yet don't sin. Don't go try to knock them out or nothing like that. But you can be mad. Just say, and that's one of the things you brought up my dad. And the fact that, of course, all his life, because of course he was still with his wife, I I always felt like I was a pain in his behind. And he sometimes would, not sometimes, a lot of times made me feel that way growing up. Let's just be honest, right?
Yeah.
Since we being truthful and being honest to be
Yeah.
free. But those 6 months that I moved in with him before he passed away, I had the opportunity to say to him, first of all, let me tell you what was one of the freeing things. I asked him, I said, is it all right if I call you daddy? And he says, well, that's what I am. I said, well, I grew up all my life calling you by your first name. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yes. That's
And
real.
he stopped and he thought about that. And then I told him I was able to share with him how he made me feel. And I said, that was not my fault.
Mm-mm.
The circumstances under which I came to be in this world, the way I came into this life, it was not my fault. And I said, I was so angry with you. And I'm realizing this and I'm able to tell you and share this with you. Do you know? I think the two words that I always wanted to hear all my life, I heard from him at 89 years old. He said, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's it. Listen, Mommy apologized after she
Mm.
read that book. Right after we got off the radio, Mommy read that book a couple months later and said,
Mm.
"I'm sorry. That's it. Set me free."
Set you free too,
She
did it?
said, "You're not." She said, "It finally hit me. You're not trying to like
Mm.
demonize me." She said, "You're just sharing your experience with me as your mother from your
Mm.
perspective." She saw how she had unresolved issues with her mama, my beloved Addie. Can you
Your
believe?
beloved
How could she
grandmama.
hurt anybody? Because Addie human too. And
Mm.
even Addie, I feel like has guided me in this journey of saying,
Mm-hmm.
girl, I ain't get it right, girl. You about to
Mm.
bump up against some stuff you got from me that you need to let that go too. And that was freeing because my grandmama is up here, but God said
Okay.
nobody could be above me. And there was a time she was like, I'll go to her, not God.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
right.
God
That's
is
right.
a jealous God. So when
Mm.
I started to realize Addie messed up, wow, my grandmother could make a mistake,
Mm.
not her. Then
Not
that
my grandmother.
now I'm free to be honest about my mistakes. Now I'm
Yeah.
free to be honest about. See, some people we hold in such high regard, we have arrested ourselves.
Yes. Come on now. Mm-hmm. Mm.
And my
Yeah.
grandmother never asked for that. She never presented herself like that. But what I realized was the closest thing I could say to how I feel, how I have felt in my spiritual faith
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
has been my relationship with my grandmother, my maternal grandmother and grandfather. It
Yes. Yes.
was very godlike for me.
Okay.
But the thing about it is, their children did not get that same experience.
Mm.
And, and,
Mm-hmm.
and me doing my work, I realized that.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel I have a mandate to share about healing because people need to know you might have messed up, but it's never over.
Never over. That's
So
right.
my grandparents messed up with their kids. My aunts and uncles love them, but if you hear them talk, it's like very granddaddy get the short end of the stick, and everybody love grandma. But one day I told them I was like, y'all ain't telling the truth because everybody ain't that happy with grandma. Y'all acting like y'all are, but y'all not. Because I know y'all not. Because many people have issues like that. Like
Yeah.
people, it's not about being abandoned and growing up in abusive households. Kids who were scared of the dark at night grew up with trauma. Two parents in the room right next door, but because their little minds didn't know how to process, they felt abandoned and rejected their whole life. You
Come
looking
on.
at kids who rich and wondering why they can't stop getting high, why they kleptomaniacs. Like, what's wrong with you? Your parents give you everything. But
Mm.
their parents read them stories, showed up. They have 401, they got money saved to go do whatever they want to do, but they still don't like their parents because they didn't get to the bottom of. I felt abandoned when you left me at school and I cried all day and nobody came to get me. And I
Mm.
never trusted you since then.
Wow.
And the problem is, you got to get still. Back to what we talked about at the beginning.
Yes.
You
Yes.
got to get still and be very intentional to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
mine, like I like to say, to
Yeah.
mine and be able to dig up those things causing problems.
Oh, that's good. Mine, because it's deep.
Yes.
Ooh, the Bible say what later acts to that root. That root might go way down deep. And you got the mind, like you said, take your time. And if you don't tell nobody else the truth, you ain't got to get on here and talk like me and Addie talking about it. But if anybody you tell the truth to, please God, tell yourself the truth.
Come
Please
on.
tell it to yourself.
Come on.
Look yourself in the mirror.
Yes.
And if you got to say, you know what? I am nasty. I
Yes.
got a filthy spirit. When I talk to other people, because I am still dealing with some things that I wouldn't be honest about myself with. If you please just tell yourself that you got a porcupine spirit and it's close when people get close to you, you poke them, you stick them, and and don't just keep dismissing it and saying, well, that's just how I am. People just gonna have to take me the way I am.
Yeah,
No,
no, we're not doing that.
we
We're not
ain't doing
doing
that
that. We ain't doing that no more.
no
And if
more.
that's just the way you are, you could continue to be like that, but you won't get access to me.
All
And see,
right.
that's the other piece, okay? Because we go wind us down. We coming up at an hour. I ain't gonna keep too much of your time, but just know we gonna be doing this very frequently,
We'll
okay?
do this frequently. Yeah.
But that's the piece that I've had to understand. And you going back to something you said earlier,
Mm-hmm.
maintaining boundaries, being
Mm-hmm.
clear and establishing, but
Mm-hmm.
maintaining them. It's like you can cut your grass, you could have a nice, neat lawn and know your grass from your neighbor. But if you don't cut the grass and it keep growing up, we're not going to be able to see the property line.
Yes, that's right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so regular maintenance has to be done
Yes, yes.
for this thing to be, and that's how we are with our boundaries. But this was the other thing I said to my mother that was so powerful in that conversation. I said, I deal with a lot of people, I tolerate a lot of people, but I don't spend that intimate time with a lot of people at
You
all.
would
I,
socialize with spend, yeah, right.
I
Mm-hmm.
love people, I
Yeah,
serve people, but for
yes.
me to get recharged and kick back, like I get tripped with my people. We laugh, we tease each other. I say things if it bother them. I used to worry about, oh God, because I'm way more direct than I would be. I was being inauthentic because I was afraid of how people would respond to me.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Girl, I'm 40 now.
You free. Mm-hmm.
I am in the look. You know when you have a nice shirt with a bunch of buttons. This I tell people. I'm about halfway. I'm fastening this thing, and I see why them older ladies will say whatever, and they don't care. They really don't care. I don't care how you take it. You're fat. You need to lose some weight. You want
Mm-hmm.
diabetes like me? Well, you need to lose some weight. I ain't gonna dress this up and tell you look pretty. That's what older
And
women do.
oh wow, dress it up, eh? Enough of that. Time to heal for real. We ain't flinching. We gonna hear the truth. And ooh, if it make us hang up the phone and disconnect from the program, it's time to heal for real. That's what we need to do. Yeah, if it's
That's
hard to
it.
hear, oh well, it's hard to hear. You just ease on into it, but please don't lie to yourself. Don't.
Yes, don't lie to yourself, and
Mhm.
just tell yourself the truth, and just some actionable steps that I work with my clients with, and I know you do, and I just want to share with the Heart Tribe. Like, one, tell yourself the truth.
Tell yourself the truth.
Stop lying. I'm not saying you gotta call up everybody and tell them their breast stink and all of that. I'm not saying that, but what I
Right.
am saying is
Mhm.
stop forcing yourself into situations and relationships
Mhm.
that you know deep down inside your body is telling you we don't want to do that. Your body
Come
never
on.
lies. Your body never lies. I bet you every relationship, those marriages you talked about, if you would be honest before you even got deeply intimate with them, I don't mean sex intimate, but the fact that you start opening up, allowing this man in,
Mhm.
some type of red flag came up in your spirit. I
All the
can't.
time.
Every
Absolutely.
single time
Every
you
single time.
proceed, guess what? You did not maintain the boundary.
Mhm.
We already have a spiritually innate boundary, what I
Mhm.
call the Holy Spirit,
Mhm.
especially when you're tapped in. So
Yes.
it's gonna tell you,
Mhm.
don't go there, don't talk to that person. They're not right. Go talk to that person. They okay. But we back to imposter syndrome, back
Mhm.
to the abandonment, the rejection, the shame, the guilt. We
Mhm.
we bulldoze past that, but we're looking for love. We're
Yeah.
looking for acceptance. And we're manipulated
Mhm.
because we willing to manipulate ourselves. If I'm willing to manipulate my boundary, I open myself up to manipulation,
Yes, that's
right?
absolutely
So
right.
what we want to do is get still, like Lori said, she's been in this season, so we can be truth tellers and
Mhm.
start to realize what's true for us.
Mhm. Mhm.
And two, start journaling. I don't care if you got to get the back of a bill,
Your
I
envelope.
little
Yeah, yeah.
card. You could write on. I'm being real. I do this all the time. I know I'm a business owner. Sometimes I'm writing on the back of receipts. Sometimes I just need to get it out. I'm
Yes.
journaling pages. Like I will have all kind of stuff around me. I've been trying to keep my office clean, so I don't have a lot of things. Yay.
You doing
However,
good. Yeah.
However, write it down. My
Yeah.
clients will always say is at the beginning of beginning the heart beta process, those first few weeks, usually the first 3 weeks, they don't like me. They're like, I liked you until I sign up to work with you. I don't like you like that. I said, and I tell them up front, you're not gonna like me probably until we get to like step 5.
Mm.
And we got 6 steps. So until we get to step 5, you probably gonna be like, who she thinks she is? Da, 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 da. But then you also gonna be coming back telling me about the breakthroughs that's been happening in your
Yeah.
relationships because you starting to tell the truth, right?
Yes.
And that's what I'm focused on. I can't be worried about being liked. That's why this is so important because we have stories to share. We
Hmm.
have truth that needs to be expressed in the world. And I feel like more people need to know about Lori LJ Johnson, and more people need to know about Adelaide Brown, the heart coach, right? And
Right.
that's why we're doing this. So make sure that you get still. Take your time,
Take your
settle
time.
yourself down. Take a couple minutes every day, 10, 15 minutes early in the morning before you go to bed. Recap what's going on. Write down how you felt about certain things, how scary
Hmm.
it was, how angry
Hmm.
you were. You'll be surprised at how much relief you get. And if you're afraid of anybody finding it, burn it. Put it
Hmm.
through the shredder and then burn it. Get rid of it. Throw it in the garbage, just not in your house, but throw it in a trash receptacle that you're not worried about it coming back to you, but you need to get it out. It's like spiritual defecation. Just like if
Hmm.
you don't use the bathroom, your
Hmm.
body is gonna die. If you don't get this trauma and these emotions out of your soul, you're
That's
gonna
right.
kill it.
It's absolutely, absolutely, and it's so worth it. You know, I always say you cannot put a price tag on your peace. When
Amen.
you're constantly in anxiety, you're constantly stressed out, you're always hyper vigilant. If somebody say something to you right way the wrong way, or you always ready to attack back, you don't, you know, your body literally excretes these hormones that are not good for you. Cortisol is a stress hormone that's not good for you, you know, and you're constantly on edge. The peace that you get, it will help some of us who are so physically torn down, you know, dealing with a lot of physical ailments. When you start telling yourself the truth and becoming free from these things, I and then, you know, we don't have these strict things, but it's a step, you know, take these steps. And
Yes.
the like she said, like Addie said, and I thank you so much for being the heart coach, but the heart is absolutely something. You have to protect your heart so your heart can be light. You know,
That's
you
it.
want your heart to be light. There is a spiritual practice back in ancient times called ma'at. Ma'at talks about getting to the place where your heart is as light as a feather, and you can only get to that place where your heart is now light as a feather by telling the truth, knowing yourself, knowing your boundaries, knowing yourself, knowing who you are. I find the older I get, the less tolerance I have for foolishness, for people who, you know, people will try you and people will try, you know, your patience and things like that. So I find that I am having less tolerance for people that are coming with, as the young people say, game. You
Yeah.
know, the game, we are done with the game. We're done with playing games. Let's grow up. Let's grow up and let's deal with people one on one, you know? And so that's where we are. And I'm so happy to have this conversation. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to having even
True.
more, but it's so worth it. The work is so worth it. It's not easy now. Because if you get serious about it and you tell yourself, I'm ready, I'm tired of being tired, like Fannie Lou Hamer say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Sick and
When
tired,
you
child.
sick and tired. When you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, then Addie the heart coach, I'm here for you too. In whatever way I can, if I and listening to me on the radio, sometime I might share a little testimony or two. I might share a little something. I might say something on the radio. Try and just, you know, to uplift and encourage in what small way that I can. We are really serious about this. It takes a certain type of people, and Addie is certainly intuitive enough to really zero in on your issues and help you, because she know when you playing. She know when you ain't being serious. She know when you know, because Addie done did some surgery on me. I promise you. And so age ain't got nothing to do with it. She older. I have a 40-year-old daughter too. And like I said, she said, Mom, her work mother.
Yep.
And so these are the things when you are ready, just open yourself up and be ready for the peace that is sure to come.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm, I don't have mic drop. We done. That's it. I thank y'all for being here. You see why I love Lori LJ Johnson so much. Make sure
And
you
I
check her out. Moments with
love you.
LJ. If you're here in Charleston, South Carolina, you can catch her on Heaven 100.1 midday show. You can catch Moments with LJ, but you can also find her on the Facebook at Moments with LJ and Instagram Moments with LJ. She has an amazing book that we're going to talk more about when we come back, In Defense of Dinah. And I can promise you, you're going to be blessed by knowing this amazing woman. Thank you so much. I didn't even want to say that much. You closed us out so good. We good. I love y'all.
I
Make
love
sure
you too,
you
honey.
cut your notifications on. The new part will be dropping on Monday, and it's fire. My brother brought that heat today. So this is awesome. I love you, Lori. We will
I
be
love you.
back again. Thank you all, Heart Tribe, for tuning in to the Heartline Podcast live. Heart Talk with Adelaide Brown and our beautiful special guest today, Lori L.J. Johnson. Y'all have a great week. And remember, you heal your heart, you transform your life.